Now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Heyer versus DeVito. Step forward.
Danielle Heyer is suing her ex-fiancé, Frank DeVito IV, for the return of bail money and for pawning her engagement ring.
Miss Heyer, when did you start to date Mr. DeVito?
In the spring of 08.
Month.
I would say March.
And when was the last time you were out on a date with him?
Probably in July of 08.
And you haven't had anything to do with him since?
I haven't had anything to do with him since the fall of this year.
Month?
November.
What happened between July of 08 and November of 09?
We started dating in the early spring, and our relationship was going well, and then in the fall of 2008, he was sent back to jail.
What I want to know is when this relationship was over.
March.
So you and Mr. DeVito were in a relationship?
Yes.
Not living together?
No, not in the beginning.
From March of 08 until March of 09. 1 year. Now, claim he owes you some money.
Yes.
One is for bail. What were you arrested for, sir?
Parole violation.
What was the nature of the underlying crime?
Robbery in the first degree.
How many years did you serve?
0. It was all dropped.
Were you in prison at all?
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
2003 to 2008.
Where?
Lino Lakes, Minnesota, and Rush City.
Is that for the robbery?
No, ma'am.
For what?
Past crime.
Last time I heard that was not a violation of the penal law, past crime, so we won't go into anything else.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What? Why are you looking at me with that goofy look on your face?
Because she took $1,000 a day, she hit me with the frying pan, and I moved out with my mom. She took $1,000 out of my wallet.
Where did you get $1,000 from?
From the casino. I like to gamble.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Heyer says ex-fiancé Frank DeVito IV owes for bail money and for pawning her engagement ring.
Now, you were rearrested on a robbery charge?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
September 27th, I believe it was. 27th or 28th, dealing with my children's mother.
Did Miss Heyer post any part of your bail?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
$2,500. My mother posted the other part.
Did you pay your mother back?
No, she gave it to me as a gift, ma'am.
Your mother did?
Yes, ma'am.
What does your mother do for a living?
She runs a bowling alley. She's a general manager of 3 bowling centers.
She's been doing that for a long time?
No, ma'am.
How long?
8 years.
That's a pretty long time.
Well, she's bored. My father died in the military, so we were well taking care of kids.
How did it come about that Miss Heyer posted the $2,500 bail that you were short?
Her and my mom, and talking back and forth, she offered to put up that part, and my mom decided she'd put up the other part.
Did you ever contact Miss Heyer from prison?
Quite a few times.
Did you discuss the bail with her?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say to her, and what did she say to you?
She had asked, would I pay her back? And I, at that time we were going to be together, so the money would be going into both of our accounts.
Do you want to repeat that slowly to me? She asked you if you were going to pay her back, and you said?
It would be both of our accounts because we were together. So basically paying myself back.
Why would it be both of your accounts?
Because we were together at that time.
So what?
When I got out and put a job, I was putting checks into her account.
But you weren't in a job. You were in prison where you were making 10 cents an hour.
I was never in prison. I was in jail for 28 days.
Well, 28 days. For 28 days, you weren't earning any money.
At that time, I wasn't. But as soon as I got out, I got a job.
And did you pay her back?
I didn't think I had to.
Well, were you still together?
Yeah, at that time.
After you got out of jail, were you working?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working at a place called Skechers. They do law enforcement uniforms.
And you were working there on the books or off the books?
On the books.
How much were you earning?
$9 an hour.
And how long did it take you at $9 an hour to pay her back $2,500?
Probably would have took me a long time, but I figured
It would have took you a very long time and taken you even longer.
But she wanted me out.
Only I got that joke. All right, so we have $2,500 that you owe her, Mr. DeVito.
It was a gift.
What else? You claim that he took money out of your bank without permission.
Yes.
All right. Did you have a joint bank account?
No.
So this was your individual account?
Yes.
Did he ever put money into that account?
No.
How did he get the PIN number to take money out? Is not an answer.
I had told him one day what it was. Because
Why?
When he had originally gotten out, he had told me that he needed a haircut and stuff to get cleaned up, and I had to go to work, so I said, here's the card, you can take $40 out. Here's the PIN number.
Is that what happened?
No.
No. How did you get the PIN number?
She voluntarily gave it to me
For what?
to take money out of it.
For what?
For spending?
Did you put money into the account?
Yes, ma'am.
That I believe. You were living together at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have your own bank account?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so the only bank account that you had was her bank account?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Some things I believe you say and some things I don't. This I happen to believe, Mr. DeVito. See how fair I am?
Yep.
Right? It's my middle name. Justice and fair and kind. What else do you want from him?
I'd like my full $4,000.
You're not going to get it. Don't give anybody your PIN number. What else do you want? Want to get your bail?
I want my bail, yes, and
That you get.
I believe that I deserve the money that was stolen from my banking card.
I don't believe it was stolen.
It was stolen on different dates, and I have all those dates and the times that I was at work.
Listen to me. I believe you gave him your PIN number.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Miss Heyer, you're not getting money back from an account. When you were living together, he didn't have a bank account. You had a bank account. You gave him your PIN number. It's over now. You want the money back? I'm sorry. You're not going to get that money back. You're going to get your bail money back. Because he actually said to me, I told him we'd be together, I'd be putting money into the account too, and so I'll pay you back from that. But at $9 an hour, working, making uniforms, he hasn't paid back the $2,500, that's for sure. That he knows. The only other thing you want is money for an engagement ring that you claim you paid to take out of pawn when he pawned it.
Yes.
And in what month and year did you get it out of pawn shop?
I believe I got it out in early February. No, it was later. It was later in February that I got it out. I have the date on my bank statement when I recovered the ring. I was not aware of when it was originally pawned off because it was the band of my engagement ring that was pawned.
That he gave you?
Well, I financed the ring in my name because he has no credit, and so I pretty much bought my own engagement ring, and he said that he was going to make the monthly payments on it when he got his job. That never happened.
Were you still living together at the time?
Yes.
That you don't get back either. You have the ring?
No, I returned it.
Where is it? You returned it?
Yes.
He owes you $2,500.
It's still...
It's over. It's finished. What? Why are you looking at me with that goofy look on your face?
Because, she took $1,000 a day. She hit me with the frying pan, and I moved out with my mom. She took $1,000 out of my wallet.
That is a lie.
Just a second. Where did you get $1,000 from?
From the casino. I like to gamble.
Right here.
$2,500. Judge.
The matter of Dinger versus Green.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Dinger, this is your husband's ex-wife. They have 4 children.
Yes.
So I have some preliminary questions. Ms. Green, when were you divorced?
It was July of 2004.
And where were you divorced? In what state?
Idaho?
And you are currently remarried?
Correct.
When did you remarry?
December of 08.
Is this your husband?
Yes, it is.
And where was he from?
He's from Riverton, Utah.
When you were divorced in July of 04, what kind of visitation or custody arrangement was made by the court?
Basically, he took the kids on his days off from work, which worked out to 1 week it was a Friday through until Tuesday night, and then the next week it was just a Wednesday, Thursday.
And that situation extended until what month and year?
Until we did a modification in 2007.
To what?
To more of a standard every other weekend arrangement.
And who initiated that proceeding?
I did.
And what was the reason for initiating alternate weekends?
I found that the children being with him for 5 days in a row, their schoolwork was not performing. It was difficult for them to be gone from me for that long.
Did you have a trial?
No, it was agreed to between our attorneys.
You wouldn't happen to have copies of your proceeding?
I do not.
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
There is a copy of what was filed and also what was agreed to and
I would like to see
stipulated.
it. Would you stand up, Mr. Green? Mr. Green, in what month and year did you meet your wife?
July of 08.
Where did you meet her?
I met her over in Boise on a 4th of July event.
And what kind of work do you do in Utah?
I work for Kennecott Utah Copper. I'm a maintenance planner.
Do you recall when your wife moved to modify the agreement so that she could relocate to Utah?
I believe that was in December of 08.
And what's the status of that case?
It's settled. Yeah.
And what's the settlement?
That we were allowed to move my wife and the kids to Utah.
How often does Mr. Dinger see his children now?
We alternate Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Yes.
He has 2 weeks in June, roughly, and 2 weeks in August, according to their school schedules. And we do also alternate spring break.
So other than holidays, he doesn't see the children regularly as he had done between July of 2004 and December of 2008. That would be a fair statement.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you filed this petition and made certain allegations against both Miss Dinger and your former husband. And at the end of this case, you agreed to alternate weekend visitation.
Yes.
Now, when were you married to Mr. Dinger?
November 30th, 2004.
Now we have some background. And the two of you have 2 children together, and you have 4 children of your own?
Yes, I do.
It is your claim that Miss Green filed false charges against you.
Absolutely.
In an attempt to get a leg up. You don't say that. That's what I say. In an attempt to get a leg up in her lawsuit against her former husband to allow her to move from Idaho to Utah to be with her husband.
Yes.
The critical question for me is, when did she file the complaint against you?
She filed the complaint on the 13th of November in 08, following an incident between me and my husband. We had agreed to separate due to some issues that we were having.
She claims that there was an act of domestic violence.
There was not.
Did you call the police?
No.
Have you ever called the police to report a case of domestic violence against your husband?
Yes, I did.
When?
February 3rd, 2007.
And what was the result of that case?
It was dismissed.
At your request?
Yes.
You had to think about that?
Well, we met with the prosecuting attorney and we discussed it and she agreed to dismiss it.
Because that's what you wanted?
Absolutely.
Got it. I'd like to see the complaint she filed in November of 2008, and that's the one you're complaining about, is that right?
Yes.
And you were married December of 08?
Yes.
All comes clear. Did your wife ever discuss with you moving to Idaho?
No, we never discussed moving to Idaho just because of my work. I work in the mining industry. And
so if you were going to marry, the expectation was that she was going to move from Idaho to Utah.
Yes.
But she couldn't because she would have to leave her children behind.
Right. We knew we'd have to.
Right?
Yes.
Unless you got a court to agree to relocation.
Right.
You got where I'm going, Mr. Green?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now you can sit. I'd like to see what she filed against you.
I've got the complaint as well that I filed with the court.
I'd like to see it. You would agree with me that your timing was serendipitous, madam. You know what that means? That means that it was a month before your marriage to someone who lived out of state that you decided to file a protective order against either your husband or his wife.
That's actually incorrect. I had actually filed protection orders before. There is a history of abuse in this situation.
When was the first time that you filed a protective order against Mrs. Dinger?
The first time was June 1st of 07.
It was not awarded against me.
Well, just a second. Is that when you filed your first protective order against Mrs. Dinger?
Well, it's listed on here against the both of them.
I'd like to see it. And that was in June?
June of 07. The abuse didn't start when I got married. The abuse has been ongoing over the past several years.
You'll notice she filed application.
Shh. Well, this says the respondent is Donald Dinger. Your allegations with regard to any abuse were with regard to him, and the action was solely against him. And after you filed that, you agreed to have your children visit with their father every other weekend.
Correct.
And according to your statement to me earlier, you said you did that because the children didn't want to be away from you for 5 days straight. It interrupted their schooling. That's what you told me.
Correct.
Okay, now you can return this.
Can I say something on that particular issue?
No.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've also got a police report from November 14th of 2008 when Tammy duct taped my daughter's head.
I did. I placed a piece of duct tape over her mouth.
Why?
Tamby Dinger says her husband's ex-wife, Tiana Green, falsely accused her of abusing her child. Tiana claims Tamby duct taped her daughter's mouth. She is countersuing for legal fees and punitive damages.
Okay, Ms. Dinger, was there a call from Child Protective Services by a school counselor?
Yes.
Did you speak to the school counselor or the child protective worker?
I spoke to police and the child protective worker.
And what happened as a result of that?
The case was dismissed.
I've got a copy of the report that was made
I'd like to see it.
Health and Welfare. That was called in by the school counselor, not myself.
Oh, well, my dear Miss Dinger, this says that the school official saw fingernail marks on the child's face. That's what it says.
Yes, I've seen it.
It was called in by the school. It wasn't called, it was observed by someone at the school.
It's not the first time the child has made similar allegations. At one point in our home, she was sucking on her arm to give herself a hickey, which would turn out to look like a bruise, and informed her younger sister at the time, I'm going to tell the school counselor tomorrow that Tamby did this to me. We proceeded to the school the next day, which was a different counselor than this, to explain.
Okay, so it's a complicated issue.
Absolutely.
If what you're telling me is that the child made up a story.
Absolutely.
And the child made up, according to you, this story so that the fingernail marks on the child's cheek were as a result of her hurting herself in some way. But that's the story that she told the school guidance counselor.
Yes.
Then the school guidance counselor has an obligation to call Child Protective Services.
Absolutely.
And as the child's mother, even though I think that there was an ulterior motive on her part, she has an obligation to protect her children. Do you understand?
I understand what you're saying.
Either she's going to say, my child is a liar, which is possible because they do lie, or I have to go along and believe her, especially since I know that there has been some domestic violence in that house, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. Anyway, that's your lawsuit. Your lawsuit is that she had no right to file these charges against you.
In similar allegations that have arisen against her household, she has told police that her child is a liar.
It may be, but she has an obligation, as does the school, Ms. Dinger, to call in a report, and she has an obligation to seek a protective order. She does, even though the timing couldn't have been more perfect for her. Do you understand?
I do. Why is she? I have continuous emails where she's asking us to take the children following each incident that she reports. She needs to travel, so she wants us to take the children for her. She dismissed the protection order herself. The temporary one was awarded, as is done. She dismissed it.
And she dismissed it, and then she decided to pursue her case in the family court to relocate.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's
15 days after dismissing it, asked us to take the children again.
Show me.
I have numerous emails here.
No, I would like to see, after she was advised by the school counselor that there were finger marks on the child's face, and after she filed for the protective order, I would like to see an email where she asks you to take care of the children.
Wednesday, the 7th of January, 2009.
Can I see it, please? Would you tell me what these emails are about?
We have gone solely to email communications. I would have to see them to see.
Would you show this to Ms. Green?
Email communication that was supposed to be between their father and I.
Which are often addressed to me.
I just want you to explain that to me.
She's in a meeting. Looks like we were just, I mean, the fact is that the visitation had to occur. I couldn't get around that at that point. So it looks like here, I would like to keep this weekend the same. I'm flying to Salt Lake City. Once we had agreed that he would allow me to move with the children to Salt Lake, he quit taking them on his weekends. And so that's what this was.
Can I have that back, please?
And then I've also got a police report from November 14th of 2008 when Tammy duct taped my daughter's head.
It's not November 4th, 2008. She's incorrect.
I'm sorry, January 7th of 2008.
And she's also stating it incorrectly.
Well, tell me what you did.
First of all, it was...
No, just tell me what you did.
I did. I placed a piece of duct tape over her mouth, about a 3-inch.
Why?
3.5 hours of violence. She woke up in the morning screaming and yelling, violently acting out towards her 3 younger siblings.
How old is she?
At the time, in 2008, she would have been 10. She has a history of issues. I called her father when she was out of control prior to the duct tape.
And where was he?
He was at work.
Well, duct taping her mouth closed is inappropriate, Miss Dinger.
Absolutely. It just didn't happen quite that way.
I don't care how it happened.
I called him. He called her. Her response to him was, Donald, when the children are on your time, they are on your responsibility. You call the doctor and get the medicine yourself. She was 1.3 miles from my home, had the medication, and chose not to aid me.
What does that have to do with duct taping the child's mouth closed?
After 3.5 hours, the child, she keeps coming out of her room. I'm putting in her room to try and separate her. She has hit me.
Listen to me. There are lots of ways, Miss Dinger, to handle that kind of situation.
It wasn't handling it. It was I lost control.
No. Well, before you lose control, you take her, put her in the car, and take her home.
I had 7 other children.
That's not the 10-year-old's problem. That's your problem. If you folks have too many children, that's your problem. And if you can only take care of one child, only have one. And if you can't take care of one hysterical child, then you shouldn't have 6. What I'm telling you is your response in duct taping her mouth is inappropriate. And if you did it, she has a right to complain about it. And if the child complains to a school counselor that you put your hand over her mouth and your fingernails went into her face, which the counselor saw, I'm not saying how she got them, but that's what the child says, then her mother has a right to file a petition to keep you away from her children. At the same time, she can file in the family court to modify the order of custody or visitation. All I'm saying to you is, you gave her the ammunition. She chose to use it at an opportune time for her. But that doesn't mean you have a lawsuit. Because if you did, in fact, do what you just acknowledged to me that you did, she had an absolute right to file a petition to keep you away from her kids.
The only reason she had the ability to even have that is because I corroborated it. I stood up.
Doesn't make any difference, Miss Dinger. You don't have a lawsuit if the allegation is true, even though serendipity was sleeping in her corner because it came at a perfect time when she wanted to relocate her children away from their father because she was getting married. All happened at a very good time for her. That doesn't mean you have a lawsuit. Now, you have a counterclaim that I'm prepared to hear for about 5 minutes.
Okay. I also have a recording just showing the volatility that she can.
I don't need it. I heard it. I ruled on her case.
Okay.
Now I'm ready to hear what you think you have a lawsuit about.
Well, I've got attorney's fees that specifically detail out my attorney's work on this protection order case.
Well, my friend, you shouldn't have dismissed it. If you dismissed it, there had to be a reason.
I followed my attorney's advice.
Then go ask the attorney for your money. Did you follow your attorney's advice when you filed it against her?
Actually, I did that on my own.
Did you follow? Hey, don't play with me. Did you follow your attorney's advice when you filed it against her?
Yes.
Of course. Then you dismissed it on his advice. Yes. Then you refiled a petition to amend the order of custody to allow you to relocate, following his advice. Pay for your own lawyer.
Okay. I've also got proof to the abuse that's happening up to Easter this year.
Listen to me.
No abuse.
Don't bring it to me. Bring it to family court.
I intend to.
That's not my issue.
Okay.
That's family court's issue. Were it not that Miss Dinger gave you the ammunition to file against her, I would have granted her application.
11 months prior,
she filed complaints against you, but did not seek an order of protection specifically against you, only against him. You're looking at me with this look of incredulity. A mother does not duct tape the mouth closed of a 10-year-old. That's stupid. And I don't care whether it happened 11 days or 11 months before. I'm saying you gave her the ammunition to file the case that she did. The fact that she did it because it was part of a scheme to allow her to move to Utah just was perfect timing on her part. But she didn't make up the allegations. They were true.
She did. They were true. Under oath.
They were true. Her child complained to the guidance counselor that the marks on her face were made by you with putting your hand over her face, and the complaint that you duct taped her mouth closed because her mother refused to bring her over the medication and you lost it is not an excuse.
That's not why I did it.
I don't care why you did it. And if you still think that it was appropriate...
I do not.
Oh, fine. Then you got to understand this. You gave her the ammunition. Do you get that? Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now it's case number 18 on the calendar in the matter of Sparks versus Esky.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Miss Esky, what do you do for a living?
I'm a waitress.
Who do you work for?
The Greek Corner on Orange Avenue in Orlando, Florida.
How long have you worked there?
I've been there now for 4 months.
Prior to that, where were you working?
I was working at a club in Orlando.
What kind of club?
A nightclub.
Doing what?
Serving.
How long were you there?
I was there on and off for about 8 months.
What does that mean, on and off?
I didn't always work there full time. I had taken a couple breaks.
How do you get to work?
Now I take the bus because I don't have a vehicle anymore.
How did you get to work then when you were working at the club?
I used to have a Toyota Avalon.
So you had a car? Did you have car payments?
Yes.
Did you have insurance?
Yes.
You had rent?
Yes.
And you were still able to work part-time?
Yes.
On and off? You have any other source of income?
No.
Mr. Sparks, you answered an ad on Craigslist and rented a room from the defendant, claims she assaulted you, and in addition, she had you falsely arrested. This happened almost a year ago. You want to be compensated.
Yes, ma'am.
Where have you been the last year?
Well, I was arrested and I had a charge against me, and I was waiting to that fizzle out before I made any commitments to filing a lawsuit.
You had a charge against you emanating from Miss Esky's complaint?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that resolved?
It was resolved December the 8th, 2009.
Can I see the complaint that she filed against you, just so that I have the information, and then you can start from the beginning?
Yes, ma'am.
While you're looking for it, you want to tell me when you answered this ad on Craigslist?
I actually answered the Craigslist ad in the 1st of September.
Where were you working in Orlando at the time?
I work as a subcontractor painter. I've been working for the same company for going on 9 years.
Okay. I'll just take, if you have a copy of the police report.
I do have a copy of a police report. That was the night in question that I was attacked. The police came to the hospital when I was admitted.
Let's go back for a second.
Okay.
All right, so you took the room eventually, and when did you move in?
September the 16th, I believe it was, Your Honor.
Okay.
I was very impressed with the place.
Tell me about the assault.
On September the 27th, I was taking a nap. I'm a football guy, so Sundays I dedicate my life to watching football on Sundays. So I was in my room watching television, watching football, and at some point I dozed off and I fell asleep. Around 2:30 that afternoon, Renee came into my room and grabbed me by my shoulder and started cursing me, calling me names, and asking me what happened to her money. You stole my money. You stole my money. She then proceeded to go to my closet, pull out a bunch of clothes, start ransacking my room, picked up a belt, which I had a buckle on it, and she started beating me with the buckle, beating me hard with the buckle. Her witness was there. I'm not really sure what role he was playing in. It was happening so fast. I got around him, and I went outside. Renee and her witness came outside a couple of minutes later. I saw them drive off the property, and I went to a friend's house. 4, 5, 6 hours later, I came back to the apartment. No one was there. Went to my room, and the reason I went back to the apartment is because I had paid my rent. I had really nowhere else to go. I had put all my money into this. I come back, like I said, Sunday evening. No one was there. I got up Monday morning. I had a huge bruise on my arm. I had to work. I've never missed a day of work, ever. Went to work with Bobby. Came home that evening. No one was there. About 8:30, Renee comes in. I'm in my room. I pretty much just stayed in my room the whole time I was there, either there or out on the balcony overlooking the swimming pool. It was kind of comfort zone for me. But at this point, I was in my room, and Renee knocked on the door several times. I told her I did not want to speak with her. She persisted on knocking on my door. She wanted to resolve it. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt, and I walked outside on the balcony and spoke with Renee and her witness as well. About 5 minutes as we were in the conversation discussing...
Tell me about the conversation.
The conversation was basically like she was sorry, she was apologetic, she didn't think that I took any money from her, she had went out, she was drinking. I blew it off. I didn't know really how to react. I was really shocked. on how someone could do something like
I'm just, it's the facts.
Okay.
Just the facts.
Well, we had the conversation. The conversation lasted no more than about 4 or 5 minutes. Someone rang the doorbell. Renee and her witness got up, went to the door. I'm still out on the balcony. A gentleman walks in the apartment with these gloves on, like sort of like a motorcycle glove type. I can only see him through the sliding glass door. They three proceed to her room, and they don't come out of her bedroom for 3, 4, 5 minutes. I started getting an eerie feeling. I felt really weird. I had a terrible feeling about the whole situation, so I said, okay, I'm gonna make my way to my bedroom and just leave him.
Oprah Winfrey, America's media queen, has vanished. Just as Diddy's explosive arrest rocked Hollywood, leaked footage has tied her to a scandal no one could have predicted. The FBI is now on her trail, and questions are swirling. Why would Oprah, with her billion-dollar empire, flee so suddenly? What secrets could be so damaging that she couldn't stay to face them? Is this just a case of guilt by association? Or is there more to Oprah's hasty disappearance than meets the eye? Let's uncover the truth. For decades, Oprah Winfrey built her empire as a symbol of trust, compassion, and empowerment. From her groundbreaking talk show to her philanthropic work, including opening schools in Africa and advocating for global causes, she became a beacon of positivity. Her influence reached far beyond television, shaping culture and inspiring millions. Yet now, the very image of integrity she spent years building is under scrutiny.
Oprah Winfrey has been tied to so many awful people, and the things that she's done throughout the years have only been in service to certain people.
Tied to allegations involving hidden footage and Diddy's scandal, this utter contrast between her public persona and the whisper of wrongdoing is leaving fans and critics questioning everything they thought they knew about her. The connection between Oprah and Diddy's scandal has left many stunned. The FBI's investigation into Diddy initially focused on financial irregularities and underground activities. Anyhow, the discovery of the incriminating footage shifted their attention toward others allegedly involved, including Oprah. Reports suggest that her abrupt departure from the country came just as the investigation began zeroing in on key players tied to the tapes.
Oprah Winfrey must go down with Diddy. Why? Because she's been friends with him for over 2 decades. And also, Oprah was friends with Harvey Weinstein. Did you know this? You want to know who the first person was to call Oprah? My insiders are telling me. I'm sorry, do you know who the first person was to call Harvey Weinstein? Oprah.
This sudden disappearance has only created suspicions, with officials questioning her motives and the extent of her involvement. Following Diddy's arrest, leaked footage reportedly revealed a deeper network of questionable activities involving high-profile figures, with Oprah's name front and center. Allegations surfaced that Oprah paid an astounding $75 million to obtain and bury incriminating tapes tied to the case.
One particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of, and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became public knowledge.
I've heard this before, so like a catch and kill.
Catch and kill, correct.
These tapes allegedly contained evidence so damaging that they could ruin multiple careers. The question now is why someone with Oprah's wealth and influence would go to such lengths to suppress this material, and what exactly was she trying to hide? As agents piece together the evidence, Oprah's flight complicates the case, leaving many to wonder if her actions are those of a guilty party or a misunderstood icon. The revelations have created a hype unlike anything seen in recent years. Social media platforms are overflowing with speculation, anger, and conspiracy theories as users debate Oprah's sudden flight and alleged involvement. It is on fire with hashtags like #OprahScandal and #DiddyTapes trending worldwide.
So Rose McGowan has put Oprah on blast.
He seemingly suggested in the caption that Oprah knew the Hollywood producer was mistreating women.
He took hold of me and stood me in front of the mirror. And he's like touching me, rubbing me, and he's like, just relax.
And if we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment.
People are debating nonstop, raising questions like, was Oprah caught up in something she couldn't control? Or is there a darker side to the media queen we never saw? Some defend Oprah, citing her philanthropic legacy, while others claim this scandal exposes the hidden realities of power and wealth. Mainstream media aren't holding back either. They have drawn comparisons to other high-profile controversies, such as Jeffrey Epstein's case, suggesting a possible discovery of Hollywood's elite secrets. Oprah's past controversies, like her ties to Harvey Weinstein, shady endorsements, and questionable decisions, are being dragged back into the spotlight. She's faced